This is the moment. The old guard falls.
Look back, you Ev! You're giant!
Okay, so picture this. It's May 8th, 1956. A bomb goes off in a London theater. Not a real one, of course, but a theatrical one, a cultural one. Today, we're going to do a deep dive, basically an autopsy, on John Osborne's play Look Back in Anger. This is the play that took a sledgehammer to the whole polite world of British drama, and honestly, changed it forever. So the big question is, how on earth did we get from this? You know, the super polite, sophisticated drawing rooms of Noel Coward to this, a cramped, messy attic that practically smells of stale tea and fried food right off the page. I mean, how did that huge leap happen, literally in a single night? Well, because that night at the Royal Court Theatre, it wasn't just another opening night. No way. It was an explosion. Think about it. Audiences were used to going to the theater to escape reality, and suddenly they were smacked in the face with something that was loud, kind of ugly, and just brutally honest. The drawing room, that old symbol of British theater, yeah, it died right then and there. But to really understand why it was such an explosion, we have to look at the powder keg it landed on, right? The play's power didn't just come out of nowhere. It was a direct result of this gray, anxious, and deeply disillusioned world that was post-war Britain. So to get the anger, you have to get the landscape. I mean, sure, Britain had won the war, but it felt hollow. It really did. Get this, rationing didn't even end until 1954. London was still covered in bomb sites. Then the Suez Crisis hit in 56, a total national humiliation, basically signaling the end of the British Empire. And hanging over all of it, the constant, terrifying shadow of the H-bomb. And you know, there's a line from the play that just perfectly captures this whole mood of stagnation. It's, "The brave knew nothing very much, thank you." I mean, wow. The promise of a better future had completely soured. It turned into this grim acceptance of, well, not much. You had a whole generation just waiting for something, anything to happen, anything to feel. So all this simmering frustration, it needed a voice. And it got one. So let's zoom in, okay? Let's go from the big picture of Britain to the tiny world of the play itself. We're heading inside a cramped Midlands attic, where we're about to meet the man at the very center of the storm. The original angry young man. You know, in this play, the setting itself is basically a character. And let me tell you, this isn't a home. It's a trap. It's a total pressure cooker of boredom and chores, all centered around what the playwright literally calls the throne of the tyrant. Those endless Sundays, they're not for relaxing. They feel more like being under house arrest. And speaking of the tyrant, here he is, Jimmy Porter. The guy is a walking contradiction. He's got a university education, a brilliant mind, but what does he do? He runs a candy stall in the market. He is completely trapped between what his brain can do and what society lets him do. And with nowhere else for all that energy to go, his only weapon is his voice. And man, what a weapon. Just this cruel, smart, nonstop flood of words. And of course, there are the people caught in his, let's call it a gravitational pull. First, you have his wife, Alison, who he sees as a hostage from the upper middle class he absolutely hates. Then there's their friend Cliff, the buffer, a sweet working class guy who's always trying to keep the peace. And then Helena shows up. She's the catalyst, who comes to save Alison, but, well, ends up taking her place. So what is all this yelling actually about? Well, at its heart, it's this quote right here. He's not just angry, he's desperate. He's desperate for some real, actual human feeling in a world that's just paralyzed by that British stiff upper lip. Honestly, he'd rather have chaos and pain than the silent, polite death of just not caring. But then you get the terrifying flip side of that. He seems to believe the only way to prove you're really alive is through suffering. He actually says this to his wife, and he has no idea she's pregnant at the time. It's just an unbelievably cruel thing to say, and it shows you exactly what he thinks, that pain is the only thing that's real anymore. Especially in a world where, as he puts it, there are no good, brave causes left. And his anger, it's not random. It's a full-on, multi-pronged attack. He goes after everything. The nostalgic fantasy of old-timey England, this new American age of culture he sees taking over, the hypocrisy of the church, all of it. He looks back at his dad's generation. They had the Spanish Civil War to fight in, and he just feels like he has absolutely nothing worth fighting for. So these really personal fights, they're tapping into something much, much bigger. Let's zoom back out for a second and look at the real battlefields here. The big ideas that turn this little domestic drama into a huge national debate. Okay, so the play is basically fought on three main fronts. First, there's class. That's the friction between Jimmy's working class life and his educated rage at the establishment. Then there's gender. His attacks on women are super controversial, and some people read it as an attack on Mother England itself, which he finds totally stifling. And finally, alienation. That feeling of being the only person awake in a country that's completely asleep. The plot itself is kind of a trap, this vicious cycle. The play starts with boredom and insults. Then it moves into betrayal when Alison leaves and Helena takes her place. But in the end, after all this incredible pain and loss, Alison comes back. The play ends right back where it started, in this weird, fragile stalemate, with them retreating into this make-believe game about bears and squirrels. Nothing has actually changed. So what was the long-term fallout from all this? What's the real legacy of that one night at the royal court? Well, the fire that got lit back in 1956, you could argue it's still burning in a lot of ways. The play's impact was like a cultural bomb. It had this huge blast radius. In theater, it just blew the doors wide open for a whole new generation of writers. The old drawing room play was dead. In music, Jimmy's smart, furious rants became like this spiritual blueprint for punk rock. Think about the Sex Pistols, the Smiths. And in society as a whole, it gave this powerful new voice to angry young people, pretty much predicting the whole counterculture explosion of the 1960s. So at the end of the day, Look Back in Anger isn't some dusty museum piece. It's a timeless snapshot of what it feels like to be young and feel totally betrayed by the generations that came before you. Jimmy Porter is hurt because nothing ever seems to change. And that leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? Over half a century later, in our own world, with all of our own anger and anxieties, are we still just looking back?
Doesn't it matter to you what people do to me? What are you trying to do to me?
Are you done yet?
No, I'm not.
This is taking forever.